Hey y'all, it's Kim. So this will be video 4 of the Bill Clinton deposition on his ties with Epstein. There's really not much other than him just talking to these different, the majority and the minority um, groups in like Congress or whatever, the GOP, and then there's I think some Democrats put in there as well. But anyway, we'll go ahead and let him play, get himself tied up, and then the attorneys have to save him. But whatever, let's let him play. Let's give it a moment. Ooh, hands.
Next will be Mr. Groveland from Wisconsin.
Can I get a time check?
You have approximately 15 minutes remaining.
What?
Approximately 15 minutes remaining.
Okay. Oh, Mr. President. It's on here.
Yes, we can hear you.
Was Jeffrey Epstein on? You apparently took 26 flights on planes connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Was he on every flight you were on? Was he on every flight I was on? That's a good question.
If you know.
What?
If you know, the flight manifest.
Yeah, there'll be a record of it, but I think he was, or certainly on most. You think he was? Well, that's okay. Was Ghislaine Maxwell on every flight you were on, as far as you remember? The same answer. I think she was, but there'll be a record of it. Okay. When you took these flights, you're saying a lot of them were on behalf of your foundation, your charitable work, correct? Yes. Who did you normally bring on these flights? I assume employees of the foundation, whatever. I brought people who work with me, especially people who would have to follow up on the fundraising, or people who were involved in my AIDS work. I bought people who. It's like I never go anywhere alone. You never went anywhere alone, right? What? No. You always have an and I had the Secret Service with me. And then on occasion, I had people who had volunteered to help us and wanted to see what we were doing. For example, I think it was on one of these trips, I think, that I had my first trip for a man who's now the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, and his wife. They helped me get started. All a matter of public record. Okay. As far as on your normal trips, could you rattle off, say, the 4 or 5 people connected to your foundation who you remember were most frequently on these trips or were most important on the trips? Could you give us the names? Well, Doug Mann, Justin Cooper, Aaron Magaziner, and I can't remember who else. I'd be glad to look. We'll give you a couple seconds to think. I can't remember who worked for me 10 years ago, so I don't expect you. But anybody else you can think of? It was 24 years ago. I'll be glad to try to find out who else left. Okay. But when you were on the plane, first of all, what did the plane look like when you got on? Can you describe what it looked like? It was at first it looked like a commercial airplane. Seats on both sides of the aisle. Yeah. And typically our crew kind of filled it up for however many people, depending on how many people we had. We had the staff and the friends of the foundation and people who were doing the work. Then we had it's like a boardroom halfway back. We had the Secret Service further back. And that was it. Okay. How would you spend your time on these flights when you were in Asia or Sub-Saharan Africa? Those are quite trips. What would you do on these trips? We would spend a fair amount of time talking about what we were gonna do at the next stop. You know, we worked a lot. Then we read a lot and we slept a lot. And we always cut out some time for card games.
I was gonna ask you whether you do cards. You beat me in a punch. What type of cards did you play?
Oh, hell and hearts.
Hearts, I always play hearts, that's good. You said, was the Secret Service with you every time you went on these trips?
Every time.
Every time, okay, good,
I have never signed off Secret Service things.
okay. Did the Secret Service, they screened all the other passengers and pilots? As far as you know,
They what?
screen them?
Like that thing?
Yeah, they have everybody's name and background and all that.
Okay, now I asked you about people who were connected to the foundation that you brought along, but I take it if they gave you an airplane and Jeffrey was on it, there were his staff too, correct?
Yeah, he had some staff on it.
Any of those people you remember, men, women?
Well, I mean, Glenn was there and there were always the other people that staff the airplane, right?
Right. I think one of the reasons you're successful is you deal with the average guy, right? You like to talk to the average guy. Did you remember the names of any of the Epstein staffers that were, you know, serving you or that you engaged with banter about?
Well, the one we just been talking about.
Shante Davis.
Yeah, Shanta. I remember her. Shanta Davis.
Okay. Anybody else you talked about? Where are you from?
Well, I talked to a lot of them. One of them was from Hawaii and was a military wife.
Okay.
I remember, but I don't remember their names after 20.
Hawaiian gal? Was she Asian?
No,
Oh, okay. Okay. Were there ever new people that you remember joining in the, this is kind of what spread out over what, 4 or 5 years? Or two or 3 years, I guess, on the 2 years on the flight. Did you ever get to the Virgin Islands other than on these planes? Have you ever been in U.S. Virgin Islands in your life?
oh yes, I worked, not foundation, did I a lot of work in the Virgin Islands.
And you also vacation there as president.
Well, yeah, and when I was president, Hillary and I vacationed there, and we liked it very much.
Okay.
But when I had the hurricane in 2017, we went to the islands and tried to help. My foundation did,
Okay.
and we did a lot of work there.
Okay, we have another question. You know, when you read about this, and obviously these files have received a lot of public attention, recently a columnist pointed out that one of the reasons this human trafficking was allowed to exist is there were lawyers, sometimes high-priced lawyers, who were able to bring, I guess particularly from Eastern Europe, Eastern European girls through here, you know, negotiate the immigration laws and such. And particularly some very high-priced famous lawyers were hired, and apparently, I don't know, they couldn't find anything better to do when they left Washington, were engaged in helping, I guess, girls that some people like became prostitutes get here from Eastern Europe. Could you comment on lawyers who make money bringing girls from Eastern Europe, other places around the world, into prostitution, coming to this country?
Sorry, I'm just to clarify. You just want him to comment on that?
Yeah, I want you to comment. What do you think of these people?
So you're asking
I
his
don't
opinion.
like it.
What?
I don't like it, but I don't know much about it.
Would you think that when you? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting the hook. You know how it is. Saved by the Bell. Oh, why don't I finish that question? Do you think if lawyers help legally or illegally people come into this country for the purpose of prostitution, that they should be disbarred?
Hell yes.
Not unless it's illegal to do it. If you pass a law which said it was illegal to provide representation, notwithstanding the constitutional right to
I
get
think they're sleazy lawyers if they do it. You should say that. Sleazy lawyers. Say they're sleazy.
For the record, we think lawyers are fantastic.
Thank you, Mr. President. And lastly is Representative Langworthy from Buffalo.
That's right. We said Buffalo, not New York.
Oh,
I love Buffalo.
You were there the day after you were acquitted, I remember.
Yeah, I said 20,000 people feel the
That
jail.
was a big
I'll
crowd,
never forget it.
big news. Thank you very much, President.
Never forget it.
You are widely regarded across party lines as one of the most politically perceptive leaders of modern time. Your political instincts are very well documented, and your successes of your political career are well documented. How would you describe the substance of your conversations with Jeffrey Epstein during the many hours that you spent together on the aircraft?
Well, at first, he really seemed to be like a vacuum cleaner, like he really wanted information. And there was no, to go back to the business with the, what do you call it, the passport, the false one. There was nothing overtly manipulative about it. He wanted to know, you know, what did I think of derivatives trading? Did I think that the stock market was properly regulated, or did it need more? What, you know, how did we have the most broadly shared prosperity in 50 years? Was it just an accident? Was it just technology, or do we have specific policies? He wanted to know stuff like that. And it was great for the first, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 conversations. But I could tell that it was like, I mean, you guys are in politics. Don't you ever feel like sometimes somebody's talking to you and then they're just checking the box and they got to go do something else and be somebody else? And that's the way I felt.
Interesting. The international travel you took with Mr. Epstein, it represented a significant investment of time and money on his behalf.
Yeah.
And I did miss the first portion of this, so if any of this is repetitive, I apologize. Your arrangement was that you would spend an hour of conversation with him on topics of his choosing, and that
So he testified to us, just so that
I'm
you
sorry, I
know,
wasn't
on economics and politics.
on economics and politics.
Thank you.
Okay. And that was the arrangement, and the rest was in kind donation. You know, the
For
flights.
all the long haul flights, yeah. If we were gone 4 hours or more, I'd give him an hour.
Okay. Did you ever ask him directly why he was willing to finance these trips and provide you with access to the plane?
I did.
So much. And what was his reaction to that
He
question?
said, I think you did a good job as president and you managed to get reelected, and you're the first Democrat in 60 years that got reelected. I want to know what happened. And I want to understand it. And that was it. And he never was, you know, it was never like he was trying to suck up to me or anything. He just was, it was very straightforward. But after a while, it was obvious that he had done what he intended to do. And he was kind of going through the motions, and he didn't really care about what I really cared about this AIDS thing. I thought we had a chance to build something that would revolutionize the treatment of all illnesses. Same thing with tuberculosis and malaria, and sure enough, we did. But I thought we were on the verge of something big, and he didn't much care about it, and I had a bunch of people that did. So we went our different ways.
And as you pointed out, I mean, we're all in the political process, certainly not playing at the levels that you have in your career. But do you believe that this was, in essence, Epstein being a political junkie and looking for that association?
A political junkie.
Yes, and I didn't know what else. All I knew was that but after we started, when I got this thing going and people could see it like a chugging engine, you know, then we had more and more people interested in helping. And I wanted to have people there that I knew were genuinely caring.
So
I know it sounds funny, but it matters because when you start something like this, you're gonna have rough time spots, things are not gonna go right, you're gonna have to solve new problems. Far better to have people who are passionate about this.
So on these overseas visits, did Mr. Epstein accompany you to any of the meetings or the private dinners or the official engagements? And if he did, what capacity was he introduced?
He went to some of the meetings, and some of the dinners, but the big public dinner we did in South Africa, he did, for example. But some he didn't when it wasn't appropriate. When I had to talk to somebody about whether I thought they were following a proper legal path and trying to let us sell generic drugs and how we're going to get them. There are a lot of complicated things.
Can I get a time, Jim?
We have like a minute left.
And did he ever seek introductions to foreign dignitaries or leaders from you?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Did he ever ask you to make phone calls on his behalf?
No, he never did. I remember that he didn't. I mean, I would remember.
You said he was not a friend, but with that amount of travel and proximity, why wasn't he a friend and he was just an acquaintance?
Well, no, it wasn't just an acquaintance either. I felt friendly toward him, but he was, as I said in my book, odd. There was always something a little holding back, and and I could tell, and it was pretty strange the way it happened. You know, Larry Summers, the president of Harvard, calls you out of the blue, says this guy wants to do it, you do it. And then I like to spend as much time as I can with people I know that I can count on. And honestly, I never saw anything that I knew was illegal, but I just felt I should move on. We did.
Did you ever have any arguments or disagreements with Mr. Epstein or Miss Maxwell in the course of your travels?
Not to my knowledge.
And is there anything that you saw that he was looking to monetize the relationship that he had with you? Okay. And
Can I check the time?
I believe
Just
wait,
1
wait.
seconds.
And my lawyers are going to kill me on this, but I have to say, I want to be honest. I'm not trying to be, goody two shoes here. I did feel closer to Ghislaine Maxwell because of Ted Wade. So I wasn't against the whole deal until I knew what they were doing.
Okay.
By then it was too late for me to do anything.
But I think your response is was he trying to ever monetize the relation to your knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge, he never did.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. President.
Thank you.
We will go off the record.
We can go back on the record. Mr. President, I just have a few more questions. I'll try to be as efficient as possible as we move through them. One is moving back in time just a little bit. In 1996, Maria Farmer, who was a confirmed Epstein victim, submitted information to the FBI that Jeffrey Epstein was sexually abusing minors. During your presidency, were you ever made aware of the information that Maria Farmer provided to the FBI in 1996?
No, and no.
Thank you. I'm going to move back ahead to the year 2003. There's just one international trip that I don't think we've specifically discussed yet. And that was in November of 2003, a trip to, I think, Russia and China on Mr. Epstein's plane.
That's the last one I took.
Great. So I'm going to give you, I think for us, the last piece of paper for the day, which is the flight log for that trip. And we'll mark that as Minority Exhibit L. I'll give you a moment to receive that.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
I've forgotten. I went to Russia.
You went through Russia.
Huh?
You went through Russia. Come in Norway.
Yeah.
And for your council, that's a total of 5 trips distributed between the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 9th here on this spot.
Yeah, this was another one of our 8 trips because Ira was on it.
Yeah, so if you could just describe what you recall about the circumstances of this trip.
Can you refresh my memory about what stops were actually taken?
Yeah, the countries in question are Russia and China. I think the final stop was Beijing. I do not, off the top of my head, recall what each of these airport codes are.
It was Brussels to Oslo to Tomokacho, Russia, to Hong Kong, Chengdu, Beijing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, do it again.
Brussels to Oslo, to the middle of Russia, Tomachevo, to Hong Kong, to Chengdu, to Beijing.
Got it. We stopped in Europe, and as I remember, as we did something with Brussels as the parliamentary capital of Europe, and I think we did something with the EU, and then Oslo was important because the Norwegians had funded a project that we did for them, for the Clinton Foundation for Russia. And they asked us to try to develop a plan for Leningrad. And we did.
What kind of plan, Mr.
An
President?
AIDS plan, because Leningrad had a very high AIDS rate because it was near the ocean and people were coming in and out. And I think that's what happened then. And then we went to China, and I had been doing a lot of work on China, and it was very interesting because the Chinese were eager to get into this and yet scared. It was very interesting. We could have been, if you were in Russia and China, you could have been in rural America on AIDS at the time. They were very reluctant to discuss this, and all hung up about it. And the Chinese, with whom I had good relations with at the time, the national government asked me, they said they like you out in the country here. Because I had been there in 1998 and had a big trip. And he said, we want you to go out there and be photographed on state television playing with children and talking to their families about AIDS. So that's what this whole trip was about. So I was doing that. And it was, I think I'm almost sure that's it. Because and then we stopped in Hong Kong on the way out, right?
Yeah, Hong Kong and Beijing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that context. Is it correct that while on that trip, you did not witness or become aware of sexual abuse of any kind?
No, we were all busy as crazy, and I never saw anything like that.
Thank you. We have a few events for which we don't have exact dates. I'll ask about them one at a time. CNN has reported that in July of 2003, Ms. Maxwell co-hosted a fundraiser for your presidential library, and Mr. Epstein may have attended. We don't know whether or not you attended that event. Do you have any recollection of attending that event?
I don't. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember anything about it.
Thank you. An investigative journalist named Vicky Ward has claimed that Miss Maxwell accompanied you on a trip to India sometime in 2003, including to the Taj Mahal, and that you traveled for that trip on a private jet owned by billionaire Ron Burkle. Do you have any recollection of the trip I just described?
No. But I want to be forthright here. The first thing I did in the way of public service after I left office was to try to help India deal with the aftermath of the Gujarat earthquake, which happened literally 4 days after I gave up the White House. And so I called the Prime Minister of India, who was a friend of mine, and he said, I need help. I've got to build schools and hospitals, and I can't do anything in the small towns and the middle-sized towns and the rural areas. I only have the money to do something in the big cities. So I'm not saying I did or didn't do this. I have no memory. But I also I don't want to mislead anybody. We were doing tons of stuff. And we needed to finance it. So I can't say that I didn't do it.
Thank you. In your 2024 memoir, you said that by the time Epstein was arrested in 2005, that you had stopped contact with him. When do you recall being the last time that you had any kind of communication with Mr. Epstein?
The last time I remember was with him was sometime in 2003.
Attorney Brad Edwards, that's an attorney who's represented many of Mr. Epstein's survivors.
Excuse me, counsel, I believe there was a misstatement there. The book says who in 2008 had been convicted in jail in Florida, not 2005.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Attorney Brad Edwards has represented many of Mr. Epstein's survivors. He claimed in a 2011 filing that he believed the Justice Department possessed some kind of correspondence from you from 2007 or 2008 on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein. At any of the various points when Mr. Epstein was under investigation, did you or any of your representatives ever submit any correspondence to the Department of Justice on his behalf?
I have no memory of that.
To your recollection or knowledge, did you or your representatives ever have any other communication with the Department of Justice regarding Jeffrey Epstein?
Not that I remember, no.
CNN has reported that in 2007, Ms. Maxwell co-hosted a fundraiser for Secretary Clinton's presidential campaign in New York City. We believe that Christina Aguilera may have performed at that event. Do you have any knowledge or recollection of attending that event?
I don't.
There was an email released as part of the DOJ files recently that suggested you may have attended a party at Ghislaine Maxwell's home in October of 2009, and that publicist Peggy Siegel, as well as Jeff Bezos, may have attended. My only question to you is whether you have any recollection of attending a party that I just described.
Is this her home in New York City?
It would be at Ms. Maxwell's home in New York City.
I have no memory of that at all.
Thank you. It's been widely reported that in July of 2010, Ms. Maxwell attended your daughter Chelsea's wedding in Rhinebeck, New York, and that she accompanied billionaire Ted Waite, who was, at least at the time, a family friend of yours, and you've described a little bit today. You, of course, were at that wedding as well. Do you have any specific recollection of interacting with Ms. Maxwell at that wedding?
No, I was an emotional wreck. I was just trying not to fall off the little, what do you call the pallets?
The dais?
The wooden that we walked on the grass with. I knew she was there, and she and Ted were there.
And what was your understanding of her relationship with Mr. Waite at the time?
Well, I thought they were together, and I think Chelsea and Martin did too. And there.
It's also been reported that in 2011, your advisor, Doug Band, instructed an aide to remove Ms. Maxwell from all attendance-related lists for Clinton-related events. This was reportedly in the wake of Virginia Roberts Giuffre and allegations that she made at the time against many people, including Ms. Maxwell. Do you have any memory or knowledge of Mr. Band's instructions that I just described?
I don't.
Thank you. That takes us through most of the known timeline of your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. There's just one more topic I would like to cover. That is the Clinton Global Initiative. In 2007, Mr. Epstein's lawyers claimed that he was part of the original group that conceived the Clinton Global Initiative. Would you agree with that characterization?
No.
Can you elaborate a little bit on why you would not agree with that?
I wouldn't agree with that because the first time I ever discussed what became the Clinton Global Initiative was with Doug Band and the rest of our small group on the way back from Davos. And Doug said we should have a meeting like this in New York at the opening of the UN. And we can make a lot of money because you don't have to go to Davos. You can meet all these people over here. And I said, I want to do it for an entirely different reason. It's fine if we make money, but the most important thing is that we give serious people a chance to go to meetings and actually make commitments to make positive change. I'm tired of going to meetings where everybody just bloviates and doesn't ever do a damn thing. So if we can figure out how to do that, I'm interested. And then we got, a team. There was, to operationalize it, was Doug Band, Mary Morrison, who worked for me in the inner office at the White House, and a man named Ed Hughes, who was a wonderful young guy who stayed with us the whole 12 years. And they were working on how to stand up and do the mechanics of this. And my job was to try to get some people who would come that people would want to hear and see, and try to, make it exciting and make people actually want to make commitments. And so I think it was at that point that Ghislaine may have gotten involved. I don't know. You can ask them about it, but I'm just telling you how it began. It began with Doug said, let's do this and make money, and me saying, let's do this and make commitments.
I think the question, Mr. President, which you've answered was Jeffrey Epstein involved in the
At the time, no, not at all.
Thank you.
But I do not know what happened afterwards.
It has been publicly reported that in 2006, Mr. Epstein made a $25,000 donation to the Clinton Foundation. Do you have any specific knowledge or recollection of that donation?
No, I saw it, and I saw that it was reported. I don't know.
Thank you. With respect to Ms. Maxwell, and you just touched on it briefly, she told DOJ last July that she was, quote, very central to the startup of the Clinton Global Initiative. Would you agree with that characterization?
I would agree that she worked hard. I now know. I didn't at the time, because I was working on the other, as I explained, I was working on a whole other part of this.
If I could ask you to limit your answer to your knowledge at the time.
At the time, I did not know it.
Thank you. The New York Times recently reported that in 2004, Ms. Maxwell arranged a $1 million payment to an events company called Publicis Group, that the payment may have had some connection with the first Clinton Global Initiative conference in 2005. The reporting suggests that Mr. Epstein may have been involved with the payment or somehow aware of the payment. Do you have any specific memory or knowledge or recollection of the $1 million payment I just described?
No.
It's also been reported that in September of 2013, at a Clinton Global Initiative conference, Ms. Maxwell was recognized as a Commitment to Action partner for her work on behalf of the Terramar Project, which was an ocean conservation nonprofit that she founded in 2012. Do you have any memory or knowledge of that conference?
I do.
Great. Could you describe a little bit what you recall?
Yeah, because this shows you how the CGI work, not for Ghislaine, for everybody. She was still with Ted Wade, and he was still heavily involved in ocean work. So that was sort of an incentive, but she had organized this group. And his objective was to, in effect, take two massive islands made of metal and junk out of the Atlantic. And they were floating around. One of them had gotten to the Caribbean. They were floating around and all this metal. So that was what she was trying to do. That was a good idea, and she was recognized for that. The fact that she was recognized was not particularly remarkable. Everybody who makes a commitment goes through a photo line and gets recognized.
Did you have any personal role in Ms. Maxwell's recognition at that event? Or was that
I might have been in the room by the time she got it, but it was, no, they put the recognition in that room. I remember this specifically because it was where all the ocean freaks were, all the people that cared about this, that wanted to be. So that's why they wanted those things announced.
By ocean freaks, you mean people who are passionate about the ocean.
Yes.
Oh, shut up, lady. Oh, lady.
People who were passionate about doing this. It was great. And so I didn't think a thing about it.
Do you have any additional knowledge or recollection related to Ms. Maxwell's role at that event?
No.
Reportedly, in February of 2014, you had dinner with Ms. Maxwell and others in Los Angeles at a vegan restaurant called Crossroads Kitchen. That dinner may have been organized by your then Deputy Chief of Staff, John Davidson, perhaps around 20 guests. Do you have any recollection of the dinner I just described?
I had a lot of dinners like that in Los Angeles, so I don't remember that specific one, but whenever I went to Los Angeles, I attempted to have a dinner someplace in public with a lot of my friends just to keep in touch with them, keep going.
As far as you can recall, when was the last time you had any form of communication with Ms. Maxwell?
I think it must be a decade ago, or maybe even longer. I don't know, but it was a long time.
Thank you.
Mr. President, it's a pleasure to be here and quickly on a lighter note, point of personal privilege. My birthday is November 5th, 1974, which shouldn't mean anything to you. But what it means is that I turned 18 2 days after the election, and I couldn't vote, and I'm still upset about that. So on behalf of my mom, I apologize. She was a little slow. President Clinton, as counsel noted at the beginning of this deposition, Donald Trump posted on social media that he wanted Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate you and other prominent Democrats in order to distract from his own close ties to Jeffrey Epstein. That post was previously marked as Minority Exhibit B, which you already have.
Yep.
President Trump's post refers to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes against young girls and women as the Epstein hoax. His post also completely ignores several other high-profile individuals, including Republicans and allies of President Trump, who were known to have had relationships with Epstein. In fact, the Epstein files contain numerous officials in the current and previous Trump administrations who have connections to Jeffrey Epstein, including Howard Lutnick, RFK Jr., Steve Bannon, Tom Barrett, Kevin Warren, and Mehmet Oz, to name a few. President Clinton, to your knowledge, has the Trump administration done anything at all to investigate these other individuals with ties to Epstein?
Well, I wouldn't be in a position to know. That's the truth. As
Gotcha.
I said earlier,
They're just constantly going after this stuff with
the
Trump.
only conversation I had with President Trump about this was in the early 2000s. And I have no information that he did anything wrong. I just want it all out there. I want everybody to get it all out there and let everybody see where we are.
And had you had any conversations with him since the early 2000s about this subject matter?
No.
Didn't he just say that?
And then my last question is, Howard Lutnick recently went so far as to lie about his close connections with Jeffrey Epstein. But the
With
truth
the
came
Miranda
out with the release
Devine.
of the files. President Clinton, is Howard Lutnick still employed as Secretary of Commerce in the Trump administration, to your knowledge?
I
Duh.
think he is.
And in your opinion, why has Donald Trump ignored these other prominent figures who had close ties?
He's asking your opinion, Mr. President.
Lutnick runs a big company and has made a lot of money and has supported him strongly. I don't think he believes that he's done anything bad enough I think he thinks he took his family to the island and he couldn't have done anything wrong. That's what I think he thinks. But I'm speculating. I'm doing what I have no business doing. Because I really don't know.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Another gotcha question. Woohoo.
Thank you. I'll speak up. Thank you, Mr. President, for being here, for your service. I'll be brief. I think most of the pertinent questions have been asked today. I want to talk about transparency. You and Secretary Clinton were both very clear about your desire to testify publicly before this committee. In fact, on February 6, 2026, you posted on social media, quote, "I will not sit idly as they use me as a prop in a closed-door kangaroo court by a Republican party running scared. If they want answers, let's stop the games and do this the right way, in a public hearing where the American people can see for themselves what this is really about." President Clinton, why do you feel it is important for you to testify before this committee in a public setting?
Because I think that first what happened with Jeffrey Epstein was horrible. What he did and what Glenn Maxwell was convicted of, it was horrible.
Yes.
We can't tolerate it in America and shouldn't. We ought to keep doing as Hillary talked about yesterday, try our part to get rid of that kind of trafficking around the world. Secondly, I was on the plane. It may be that I've said something today that gave you some indication that would help change policies or something. So I thought it was important. But I also think people know that there's been a little bit of zig and zag and ambivalence about, how we should, how hard this thing should be put out there. And I'm not pointing a finger at anybody. I'm just saying we know that. And so I think it's important that we get it all out.
So to be clear, this committee issued a subpoena to the Department of Justice to release the full and unredacted files last summer. There's also now the Epstein Files Transparency Act that asks for the same, that President Donald Trump signed into law. But still, the Department of Justice under this administration has not released all of the files, and there's been many illegal redactions. Do you think that we, of course, as Congress and the American public, should get the full and unredacted files immediately?
I think unless there is some serious danger of physical harm, to one of the victims. There was some national security interest involving intelligence. Because you've heard these, that some of you think that there's some intelligence issues, national security issues. I think the rest of it ought to be gotten out, and I think we just need to get to a point where we can put this behind us. And then I think I hope you can and will help build us a system that works in America the way our international system works best in trying to identify and stop human trafficking and trying to make people whole once they've been damaged.
And not a question, but just in response, the law is very clear about the identities of the victims.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Department of Justice has wrongfully released some of that information, including personally identifiable information, while illegally redacting names of potential co-conspirators. So
they're going to kill me for saying this, but I think it's important to say. I think it is entirely possible that people in the Justice Department, I don't agree with on nearly anything, right? But when it's possible that they didn't intentionally cover some of this stuff up. But it's hard to accept that when you look at the other problems in dealing with the information. So you guys got to clear that up, clean it up, decide how you think it should be handled.
thank you.
So before we go off the record, just one clarification. It's more just for councils. The quote from the 2024 memoir, I think was accurately quoted in the first instance. The full sentence is, quote, "He," meaning Mr. Epstein, "hurt a lot of people, but I knew nothing about it. And by the time he was first arrested in 2005, I had stopped contact with him." And that's the end of the sentence. That's page 373. So that's just for council and
My apology.
no, not at all. And with that, we can end this round and go off the record.
We'll go back on the record. Mr. President, during the last hour, there was a discussion related to your book with minority counsel. And I just wanted to read the excerpt into the record and just a quick question for clarification. You said, "I had always thought Epstein was odd, but had no inkling of the crimes he was committing. He hurt a lot of people, but I knew nothing about it. And by the time he was first arrested in 2005, I had stopped contact with him." We understand that Mr. Epstein was arrested in July of 2006. Can you explain the discrepancy?
You're asking him to fact check his own book?
Correct.
Okay, I mean,
No,
Can you explain it?
I can't. I'm sorry, we made a mistake.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. President, Congresswoman Nancy Mace from South Carolina, thank you for being here with us for hours today. I know it's been a long day, and I know that we're going to wrap up soon for you. Did you know one of the witnesses who testified in the Epstein cases that Epstein said, you quote, "like them young"? Why would Epstein say that about you?
are you asking his opinion? You're asking him to think about why Mr. Epstein would say
Correct.
something about him?
Why would Epstein say that
So
about
she's
the
asking
president?
you to try to be in Mr. Epstein's mind and guess at what Mr. Epstein would have thought about.
First of
Clinton
all,
likes them young, referring to girls.
that's not true.
What's not true?
That I have any interest in underage,
I didn't say underage. I said young.
but it's still not true.
Is an intern young?
Yes.
Okay.
At my age, anybody younger than I am.
Did you
is
know
young.
Jeffrey Epstein instructed a witness to deny you were ever on his island?
He didn't have to since I was never there.
Did you ever travel to Zorro Ranch?
Is that the one in New Mexico?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Have you ever flown on anyone else's private jet 26 times or more for overseas trips?
I have flown as many miles on other jets, but never with as many stops.
How many other people's planes have you used, like Epstein 26 times or miles, etc.?
I don't know. I did with Steve Bean, who's now deceased, and probably with 4 or 5 others.
Okay, so maybe about a half dozen billionaires total. So, how many dinners did you have with Ghislaine Maxwell or Jeffrey Epstein in attendance?
She's asking to the best of your recollection.
I have no idea.
Okay, did you ever discuss sexual misconduct allegations made against you with Epstein or Maxwell?
Never.
Did Epstein or Maxwell ever offer to help manage or silence women who made sexual misconduct allegations against you?
No.
Did Epstein or Maxwell ever offer financial support directly or indirectly to legal defense funds related to impeachment proceedings or civil actions against you?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you think a young girl massaging a president is unusual?
So are you asking his opinion?
Well,
You're
he was
asking his
massaged by
opinion?
a young woman. I'm asking if he thinks it's unusual that a president, sitting president of the United States, leader of the free world, that
So I'm
it's
sorry,
unusual a
are you
young woman
speaking
would
to,
do.
are you talking to the instance of the
Yes, is it
the
unusual that a
back
young woman would be
massage
massaged?
that occurred while he was not president? I'm just trying to understand. You said a president of the United States.
Former president?
Thank you. Just trying to make sure we're correcting the
Are you
time frame.
filibustering?
No, I don't need
Okay.
to. I'm actually trying to make
I
sure
think
that
I'm
as
pretty
you,
clear. He said he
you
was a
said he
young.
was a sitting president.
Excuse me, could you just please go one at a time? Thank you.
You said a sitting president. I want you to be clear so that when he answers
Former
you,
sitting
the
president,
record is clear.
is it unusual?
I have
Objection
no
calls
idea if
for-
it's unusual.
Objection calls for speculation.
I figured. Do you ever,
Yeah,
did you ever
exactly.
think that all these women around Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell was odd, unusual, weird, or creepy?
There weren't all that many around when I was there.
How many would you say is not all that many?
I think on this big plane that was working long hours, having 2 to 4 people on there, I thought was, as far as I knew, they were all helping.
Flight attendants in tank tops and jeans, right?
No,
Do you believe you were a victim of a Jeffrey Epstein intel operation? Do you think that you might have been
Answer that.
like caught up in some of what he was maybe potentially doing?
Excuse me, Congressman, which question are you asking?
I'm asking
Intel
if the
operation?
first of all, I don't
some type of intel operation. I'm just curious because it's been speculated on today and yesterday
understand.
that he may have been an intel asset. Do you think, perhaps knowing what we know now, the proclivity of it all, that he may have been targeting you as part of an intel operation?
I doubt it.
In 2019, you stated after he was arrested, I guess this would be the second time, you stated you knew nothing of Epstein's, quote, terrible crimes since you only met, quote, briefly on only, quote, 2 occasions. Was this statement false?
Excuse me, Congressman.
That's not
put
an
in
accurate
the
statement.
record
Can you
that
please
statement?
share us what you said?
Yes, in 2019, as reported by the media,
Which media?
this says this is the
Can you share a copy of it, please?
okay, Daily Beast. It says the title of this is Bill Clinton failed to mention his intimate 1995 dinner with Epstein.
We can give counsel and the witness a moment to review the exhibit.
Well, we like the statement, I mean, he put
Yeah,
out
I
a
don't know
statement
anything about that.
in 2019, full statement.
And it will be marked exhibit 22.
So to be clear, the basis of your question is a news article with respect to the Daily Beast as to a dinner. Is that accurate?
Nope, it's a question in the first paragraph, which reads, hours after Jeffrey Epstein was arraigned Monday on several sex trafficking charges, former President Bill Clinton publicly downplayed his relationship with the pedophile financier, saying he knew nothing of his terrible crimes since they only met briefly on 2 occasions.
And that's in the Daily Beast.
Correct,
Is that
which
not
is in
correct?
your hand right now.
Great, that's what I just said.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Well, what would
What's
you
your
like to
question?
know?
So my question is, you stated you'd only met Jeffrey Epstein in 2019. You said you only met him on 2 occasions. Was this statement false when you made
To
it?
be clear, this is a news reporting that is saying that that's what he
Did you
said.
make this statement in 2019?
Congressman, would you put in the statement that he made? This is a news report.
Okay,
Double hearsay.
did you make this statement in 2019 as reported by the media?
So you're asking whether or not he made a statement to the Daily Beast?
Nope, it says, quote, it's quoting him or his office, etc. Are you denying you made this statement?
It's quoting a sentence. If you put in the entire statement, that's all we ask. To be fair, give him the statement, not somebody's report of it. I have no idea what the Daily Beast stake is.
It was a statement that was released that was broader than this, and they relied on only a portion of it. They relied on only a portion of this full
And that's
statement.
the portion I'm focusing on.
Well,
He said it
then,
only was listed Jeffrey
so it's
Epstein on 2
actually a
occasions.
misrepresentation of this entire statement.
Well, can you let your client answer the question?
Well, can you ask it in a way that would make it clear that what you are
I'm being
actually
very
asking
clear. His statement said
is
you
the
met with
broader
Jeffrey
question
Epstein.
of what did he say?
He said he briefly met with him only
No,
on 2 occasions.
The Daily Beast selected that piece
So
out.
are you denying that the president made this statement?
What I'm saying is that there is an entire statement, that's the statement on which the president spoke to.
Would you like to provide it to this committee?
We're happy to provide that committee.
Okay, I would like to ask the president this question. Was that a false statement that you made in 2019 that you only met with Jeffrey Epstein briefly on 2 occasions?
Object to the basis of this question.
Wait.
This is, you're asking him about a news article, not the
It's
statement he made.
quoting him. It's quoting the president of the United
Quoting
States.
a
Are you denying the president made this statement?
I'm
Are
telling
you denying he
No,
made
I'm
this statement?
telling
I
you.
want to know.
No, I'm telling you that
Are
the
you
president
making a
made a
false
full
statement
statement. You are selecting a piece of it. Let's put in the
My
entire
source-
statement he made.
I wasn't in federal office in 2019. I was not a part of this committee. I was a state house rep from Goose Creek, South Carolina, and I'm quoting open sources that I have. To the best of my knowledge, I'm not rich with a bunch of attorneys, okay? I'm doing the best that I can to get the information I can, and I'm asking if the president was telling a lie in 2019 when he stated to the public he'd only met with Jeffrey Epstein on 2 occasions.
You didn't say to the public, you're misrepresenting.
Congresswoman Mays. Let me be clear. Not asking about your right to ask him any question, but don't do it on the basis of a news article. The news article is quoting his statement.
So is the news
It's
article
quite-
lying? Is the news article false?
It's false if you take it to mean what you say, which the statement did not do.
Do you understand English? I'm
I
serious.
think I do.
I
I'm
don't
not
think
from
you
South
do.
Carolina, but I think I do.
Did you make a statement, Mr. President, in 2019 that you only met with Jeffrey Epstein twice? I'm asking a question a different way.
I have no idea, but I think that when I answer that, I don't believe I remembered anything about meeting him in 1995.
So when making a statement about Jeffrey Epstein in 2019, would you have checked with your staff on maybe White House logs about the 17 times he visited, dinners you had with him, fundraising that you did with him, fundraising dinners he was on, you were on his bikes 26 times. Would you have checked with your staff before making such a statement, or would you just?
Congressman Mays, what statement are you talking about? Are you talking about the entire statement that he made in 2019?
Ms. Mays, can I just ask you for the purpose? Ms. Mays, can I ask you for the record? Ms. Mays, can I ask you for the record? Can you read the article into the record, please?
I'm not gonna read the article into the record.
Well, Ms. Mays, you are indicating that this article misrepresents a piece. Could you
You're
read
not
the
asking
article
anybody
into
to
the
read an
record?
article into the record. I'm not going to do that. You've
Well,
not
this
done
is the
that yet.
basis
I'm not
on which
going
you
to.
rely.
You're not in charge of me. I am quoting
I'm
from
not
this
seeking to be in
article.
charge of you, believe me, that is something I would not at all
Don't even try.
seek to be, so I want to be respectful. But I am asking, if you're asking him to speak to this, can you please put the entire article in the record?
The entire article is in the record as an exhibit. What exhibit number is this?
22.
22.
And yet,
Counselor.
It's already in the
question
record,
has been
Counselor.
clarified to reflect only the small portion of the larger statement, to whatever extent the witness is able to answer to his recollection of that portion of the statement and any preparation that occurred to make that statement.
so in other words, what you have just articulated, that the question's been clarified by Ms. Mace or by you, that what is intended is to actually only be speaking to the selected piece out of the entire statement that was released by the president's office. Is that what you're clarifying?
That's what I'm focused on, yes.
Okay. So if you read this, then you really want to know is if I was at a dinner
No, I don't. My question was
that
about
Ron
your statement.
Perlman
No, sir.
gave.
No, sir. I'm not asking about that dinner. I'm asking about the statement at the beginning of the article. I would like to ask another question. Your statement in 2019 about only meeting with Jeffrey Epstein on 2 occasions briefly.
That is not
is that-
correct. I'm going to object to that characterization.
I believe.
That is not what the statement said.
Okay, so the
You're
third
reading the
paragraph
Daily
down.
Beast article.
So to be
Which
clear,
the leftist rag, by the way. And on the third paragraph down, it says, in his Monday statement, Clinton said he had only, quote, one meeting with Epstein in his Harlem office in 2002, and around the same time made one brief visit to Epstein's New York apartment with a staff member and his security detail. Those are the two
That
meetings
is in
were
addition to
referenced.
this.
so the Daily Beast, Bill Clinton failed to mention his intimate dinner, 1995 dinner with Epstein. That's by Pilar Melendez on the 11th of July, 2019.
All right, Mr.
What?
President, your statement saying, only met with Epstein briefly twice, was that part of an effort to cover up the close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, correct?
Object to the form of the question. Misstates the record.
She's asking if you were trying to mislead the public.
Oh, no,
Okay, how many times did Ghislaine Maxwell visit your home in Chappaqua?
I have no idea.
Who invited her?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how, she may have been,
Mr. President, that's it.
Okay,
Hillary had political events there.
okay, so is it in your, is it to your knowledge, was she at your home in Chappaqua likely because your wife had her over for Senate events? That's what you testified earlier today, correct?
That's not what he testified, but please ask the
I would
question
like
as
him
to
to
what he would
clarify.
actually, thank you, I appreciate
I
that.
do not know, but if you are implying the reverse, I will volunteer something. She was never in my house in Chappaqua for any personal reasons.
I didn't say anything for anything
No,
personal.
you didn't, but you had a great tone in your voice and you're very good at it.
That's just.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Thank you. And I did not go to Yale Law School or any law school for that matter. So yesterday your wife testified that Ghislaine Maxwell was never at her home. And I believe you stated earlier today, you thought if she was over there it would be for Senate events. So was your wife falsely testifying yesterday?
Mischaracterizes.
So he doesn't have the benefit of his wife's testimony yesterday, so unless you all are gonna provide the transcript, or you're gonna actually provide that information, we're not in a position where we could address
I
that.
believe all I said was that I didn't know.
Okay.
And she had done.
You postured that maybe it was for her Senate. I'm gonna have one last question, Mr. Chairman, and then you'll take over. I believe you stated today on around, I know it's been a number of years, on around 2008, you've ended, or before that, ended any communication with Jeffrey Epstein, correct? Around the time he got arrested or right beforehand. And he was arrested for child sexual prostitution or hiring girls for sex or one girl for sex, correct? Roughly, child sexual exploitation. If you were aware in 2008 that Jeffrey Epstein was having sex with kids, and you knew of his close association with Ghislaine Maxwell, why would you still associate with Ghislaine Maxwell, who you dug essentially like your Doug Van? She was the body man to Epstein, Doug Van was the body man to you, and why would you allow Ghislaine Maxwell to associate with your daughter up until, I don't know, 2004, 2015? You knew he was a bad guy. Why would you allow your daughter?
Excuse me, what's the period in which you're saying he would have known that Jeffrey Epstein was
After 2008, so up until Ghislaine Maxwell was involved with CGI until what, 2015, and we confirmed today that he had a dinner with Ghislaine Maxwell in LA in 2014. So he's still hanging out with a close associate, the closest associate to convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
But excuse me.
I guess my question is why.
Yes, but question, excuse me, is the question why Ghislaine Maxwell came to the wedding? Is that the question?
No, it was. I didn't even bring up the wedding.
Okay,
Why are
sorry.
you off this game? Why are you putting words in my mouth? You're smarter than that.
No. Let me
Thank you.
finish. I think, first of all, when the wedding occurred, she was with Ted White, and she was for several more years. We did not know when Epstein was arrested that she was still involved with him. I think that clears a lot of this up. We didn't know. And I don't want all of you to get, we're all getting in a lather. There's a logical explanation. We didn't know. And I'm sorry for what she did and what she allowed her life to become. Now she's living with it.
And I have one final short question. I promise I'm done. I was severely and heavily duped by an individual in my life about 2.5 years ago. It's very publicly well known. You graduated from Georgetown and Yale, correct?
Yeah.
How do you think Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein duped so many powerful and smart people, fully connected, powerful people all around the world?
Money.
I really don't know. But I don't know. I've thought about it a lot. And if you can figure it out, I'd like to know. But
thank you, Mr. President. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it here before they start answering any questions. Now it seemed like they were getting a little defensive. Oh, this only has like 20 minutes left. Let's just go ahead and finish this. Let's just finish it. That way, because it takes forever for these videos to upload and everything. So we got 22 minutes left.
Point of privilege.
I would like to say, since you made a great deal out of all this Ivy League stuff, I am also the last president ever to live in a place without indoor plumbing.
There's a full statement which we'll be happy to provide for the record that it might be that Representative Mace is unaware of, but the full statement says President Clinton knows nothing about the terrible crimes Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to Florida some years ago, or those with which he's recently been charged. In 2002 and 2003, President Clinton took a total of 4 trips on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane, 1 to Europe, 1 to Asia, 2 to Africa, which included stops in connection with the work of the Clinton Foundation, staff and supporters. Secret Service detail traveled with him on his trips. He had 1 meeting with Epstein in his Harlem office, 2002. Around the same time, he made a brief visit to New York. That was the full statement. Ms. Mace was selecting portions out of the statement or relying on an article which only shows certain portions of the full statement.
Let's go.
Ms. Luna from Florida.
Mr. President, I just wanted to do a couple of follow-ups. Regarding your personal conversations with Mr. Epstein, you said that he wanted to discuss economic and political questions. Was there ever a particular region of the world or topics that he wanted to reoccur address?
I do remember that he was interested in the 2 places that I was setting up the AIDS park, in Asia and Africa. And Asia, he wanted to know if I thought it was going to be the Asian century and the thing would be sustainable. And in Africa, he wanted to know whether I believe that you could have broad-based prosperity there, whether they could achieve something that they'd never achieved before.
It seems that Mr. Epstein also had asked a similar question about America's prosperity and economic policy. Did you feel that when he was asking questions, particularly maybe pertaining to the regulation of our stock market and or derivative trading, did he on a number of occasions come back to that and maybe pick your brain about policy or future policy in the United States?
No more than any other big issue. I knew that, everybody lives in New York with money, and look at, he made his money advising Les Wexner, so he had to be interested in markets.
Okay, and then I know that Colleen was a little bit more probably chatty with you. Did she ever share a similar interest to Mr. Epstein on economics or political topics of discussion? Were there any reoccurring topics that you felt that she would want to focus on?
Not that I noticed.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Good. Mr. President, we've covered a lot of topics today, and I'm going to walk through some topics we've already covered just to ask some questions for clarification.
Okay.
First, during your relationship or the time that you knew Mr. Epstein, what did you understand his job to be?
I'm not sure I knew. It was never clear to me. But he could have been living on investing the profits he'd already made. I knew he was his finance guy.
And you just testified to Les Wexner being one of his clients. Did he ever make any other representations about who his clients were?
No, but I never asked either.
During the time that you knew him, did Epstein ever provide you with financial advice?
No.
Did he ever provide you with tax advice?
No.
Did you ever personally receive money from Mr. Epstein?
No.
Did Mr. Epstein ever loan you money in your personal capacity?
Not to my knowledge.
So to be clear, did you ever exchange money with Mr. Epstein?
Not that I remember. I don't believe I did.
And throughout today's questioning, we talked about the various properties that Mr. Epstein owned. You testified to have visited the Manhattan townhouse. Is that right?
Yes, I did go there once.
And just for clarification, it's been reported that what we've seen from the files from the DOJ,
Mr. Epstein decorated his home with creepy and disturbing artwork. Did
He
you
did.
notice anything unusual as far as his decor at his
Keep in mind,
residence?
I was only on the first floor, ground floor. I did not see anything like that there in any of the rooms that I saw.
It's been reported that Mr. Epstein had cameras on his premises. Did you notice any cameras at the Manhattan townhouse?
I didn't, but that may have been the whole point.
Mr. Epstein apparently rented a property in Boston at one point. Did you ever visit that property?
No,
Did you ever visit Mr. Epstein's apartment in Paris?
no,
Did Mr. Epstein or Miss Maxwell ever invite you to his property in Paris?
no,
Did you ever visit Mr. Epstein's home in Palm Beach?
no,
Were you ever invited by Epstein or Maxwell to visit the Palm Beach property?
I don't think so.
Did you ever visit Ghislaine Maxwell's New York townhouse?
No, I don't even know that I knew she had a townhouse. I knew about the only thing that he ever said anything to me about Jeffrey was the New Mexico ranch, and I never went there.
Did he invite you to the New Mexico ranch?
Sort of.
Did
I
you-
mean, he was a little, but I didn't go. By then, I didn't go.
Was there a reason?
I don't remember, but I didn't. I think it was as we got closer to the end that he said something about it.
Mr. President, in 2005, police in Palm Beach, Florida began investigating Epstein. In July 2006, Epstein was arrested for the first time for soliciting prostitution for minors. For the record, prior to Mr. Epstein's arrest, were you aware of any investigation into Mr. Epstein?
No,
On October 20th of 2005, police executed a search warrant for Mr. Epstein's Palm Beach, Florida home. Palm Beach Detective Joseph Carey spoke out about his belief that Epstein was tipped off about the raid since multiple computers expected to be at the house were missing when the search warrant was executed. To your knowledge, was Mr. Epstein tipped off about the October 20th search warrant in Palm Beach?
That's what we know.
I don't know. I don't know. It's the first I've heard of it.
They're only asking for your knowledge, Mr. President.
Mr. President, did you ever make any kind of attempt to influence the media's coverage of Jeffrey Epstein?
No,
At this time, I'd like to introduce what we've marked as Majority Exhibit 23. And this is Bates number EFTA 02792895.
One page.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I don't have that.
And this is email from Virginia Giuffre, an Epstein victim, that alleged that you walked into Vanity Fair and threatened them not to write sex trafficking articles about your good friend Jeffrey Epstein. Mr. President, is this true?
No. No. Not no, hell no, not close, no.
Why do you think Ms. Giuffre would make these claims?
Are you asking to have an opinion
I don't
about
know,
Ms.
but-
Dufay's point of mine. Can we not do that? Like, ask him about the facts that he knows, as opposed to asking about the facts in other people's minds.
Mr. President, have you ever asked any other publication to shut down a story related to Mr. Epstein?
No.
And by any other publication, counsel, he's answered the question about Vanity Fair, correct?
Yes.
I absolutely didn't.
Okay.
No.
Hell no.
Mr. President, did you ever advocate for or suggest leniency in Epstein's case to any government officials, including those in the Department of Justice or Florida State Attorney's Office?
No.
On June 30th of 2008, Epstein pleaded guilty in Palm Beach County, Florida State Court to 2 felony charges, 1 count of solicitation of prostitution and 1 count of procurement of a person under 18 for prostitution. He was subsequently sentenced to 18 months in Florida County Jail and began serving his sentence on June 30th of 2008. To be clear, you have not had any direct contact with Epstein after his arrest in 2006. Is that right?
That's correct.
After his arrest or after the publication of when he went to jail in 2008? Can you just clarify the dates there?
I will ask another question. To be clear, you have not had any direct contact with Epstein after his arrest and when he was incarcerated in 2008.
Yes, to the best of my memory, that's correct.
Are you aware of any effort by Epstein to contact you while he was incarcerated in Florida?
I'm not.
Mr. President, who is Arnold Paul Prosperi?
I think that he's a son of the guy I went to Georgetown with, named Paul Prosperi. I think that's right. And I saw in all these things that my staff gave me that he was mentioned, but I don't think anybody said anything to me. I had no memory of that.
So is it your testimony today that and actually let me back up here. So according to jail logs, Mr. Prosperi visited Epstein at least 20 times while Epstein was incarcerated in Palm Beach County Jail between 2008 and 2009. Based on what you just said, is it your testimony that you believe that to be the son of the man you went to college with?
It could be. But he didn't talk to me.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, Lex Wexner testified that Jeffrey Epstein often name dropped powerful people to give himself an air of credibility. Did he ever do that to you? Brag about people he knew in high places, kings, princes?
Yeah, he did a little bit.
Okay. Going back to what was mentioned earlier about the search warrant on October 20th in Palm Beach for Jeffrey Epstein. Mrs. Clinton testified yesterday. I think she mentioned that it appears he got a sweetheart plea deal, and I don't think anyone on this committee would disagree with that when Alex Acosta was the U.S. attorney down there. And we've already deposed Mr. Acosta. We've got the transcripts and everything. There's a lot of speculation, as had been mentioned, that he may have been tipped off prior to the search warrant, that Epstein may have been tipped off. Are you aware that whether or not Sandy Berger may have tipped off Jeffrey Epstein?
The president just testified that he was unaware that anybody had been tipped off. So are you asking him to?
This explains why I was asked yesterday about him. But no, I know nothing about that, and I wouldn't.
And Mr. Epstein was indicted by a grand jury on July 19th, 2006, according to an IRS Form 990 filed by the COUQ Foundation, a known Epstein entity. Mr. Epstein donated $25,000 to the William J. Clinton Foundation one day prior to Mr. Epstein's indictment. Are you aware of this donation?
I know that they told me that the records showed that he'd given $25,000.
When did you become aware of that, Mr. President? Were you aware of that then or in preparation?
No, now. I mean, when I was preparing for this.
Yes, sir. Did you solicit that donation from Mr. Epstein?
Not personally, I didn't know.
Did someone else solicit it?
I have no idea.
Do you know why Mr. Epstein made that donation?
He's asking you to speculate about what
No,
Mr.
no.
Epstein would be thinking.
We try to raise a fair amount of money every year to pay the bills.
It seems to me that as investigators were narrowing in on Mr. Epstein, he may have been trying to earn some goodwill with you. What do you think about that?
It wouldn't work.
Did it ever seem to you that Jeffrey Epstein was trying to suck up to you or get on your good side in order to further his schemes?
No, I didn't think about it that way. I thought he wanted to do what he said. But he was, very idiosyncratic.
Right. After his arrest in 2006, did you have any further contact with Mr. Epstein?
I don't believe I did, no.
Did anyone affiliated with Epstein, including Mrs. Maxwell, contact you on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein to discuss his arrest and the allegations against him?
No.
Did they ever ask, either Jeffrey Epstein or Miss Maxwell ever ask you for their assistance once Epstein was in trouble?
No.
Or once Miss Maxwell was in trouble?
No.
Did Jeffrey Epstein ever attempt to contact you while he was incarcerated in Florida?
No.
He didn't attempt ever to contact you?
Not as far as I know, no.
Yesterday, during the deposition of Secretary Clinton, she suggested that we follow the money with Epstein because there's a big question. How did he accumulate so much wealth? And I think you had testified earlier, and if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me, that you didn't really know how he made his money. I mean, he had a big plane, and
I knew that he had made an extraordinary amount of money from Les Wexner, who was quite wealthy. I had no idea whether he had made enough to support the lifestyle that I saw.
And I assume you're aware Mr. Wexner testified under oath that he acted like he really didn't know Jeffrey Epstein very well, and which is kind of hard to believe because he paid him a lot of money. And
yeah, he made it.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah. Well, one of the things when we concluded the deposition yesterday, we asked Secretary Clinton, for her advice moving forward in the investigation. And with respect to a statement she said yesterday, it was something that we've done on the committee, the majority has done on the committee. In the past, we followed the money. We've subpoenaed bank records. We've subpoenaed suspicious activity reports from Treasury. Those were some of the things Ms. Clinton suggested. And in order to do that, obviously, we have to subpoena banks, specific banks for specific accounts. Do you ever recall in the conversations you had with Mr. Epstein any particular bank that he was affiliated with, or any particular big banks that maybe he had deals going?
No. He never asked me about that.
Okay.
And with that, we can go off the record.
I think they're pretty much done. We'll see if they come back with anything else. Oh, the minority questions.
We can go back on the record. Mr. President, I just wanted to clarify one thing from the previous round. Our understanding of your testimony today is that with respect to the dinner with Ms. Maxwell in Los Angeles, you were not actually sure whether or not that dinner occurred.
That's
Is that correct? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. As we start to close, is there anything you would like to add or clarify about what you've said here today?
Well,
you're good.
I think we're fine. I'm struggling because it's hard to know exactly what I knew when I knew it. given what I've learned since. It's become a kind of a compelling challenge, but I've tried to tell you what I knew then, and when you ask what I think now, I think you have, all of you, Mr. Chairman, you've had a chronologically challenging thing. You've got all the stuff that happened with Jeffrey Epstein, some of it as regard to President Trump going back to the late 90s. And that's a long time ago. And then what we learned later. So it's been difficult, but I have enjoyed it. You've been very respectful to me and given me a chance to talk to you.
But we thank you for your time.
And I wish you well. I still will say, if you can think of some things to do that will reduce the incidence of trafficking in America, and it should be possible for us to virtually eliminate underage abuse. It should be. We just got to figure out what kind of technology we need and what kind of policies. So thank you.
And the answers that you provided today are to the best of your recollection. Is that correct?
Yeah, the answers I provided today are what I believe at the time and what I think was in my heart, including about previous testimony.
Great, thank you. Unless there's anything else you would like to share, we can go off the record.
All right, so it's pretty much done, I think. Let me just make sure. Okay, so that's it. So Jefferson Clinton, blah, 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 February 27th. Okay, so we're done with that. Yay, so we can move on to something else. Anyway, I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.